Hello everyone, Joseph here. It's been a long time coming, but I've heard the requests and I'm very excited to present 3+ color commanders to our PDH deck techs. So without further ado, today we are in Abzan, giving us white, green, and black. And this color combination only gives us one option with our commander today, Armament Core. Armament Core is a 4/4 human soldier for 2 white, black, green that has, when it enters the battlefield, distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control. I'm not going to lie to you guys, this is pretty underwhelming for our commander. It's got an ETB effect, which is tricky to build around in the best cases, and that effect merely adds some +1 counters. It's not consistent or particularly impactful. In other words, it's a challenge. But whenever you're building around an underwhelming effect, it also helps to look at creature type. Armament Core is both a human and a soldier, which are luckily 2 very well supported types in these colors. So, what is our goal for this deck? We're going to amass an army of humans to take out our enemies, and we'll use an arsenal of instants to make them an unkillable threat that will trigger our ETB effects again and again. Now, we are in 3 colors, but luckily one of those colors is green, so we don't really have to worry about ramp and color fixing. In fact, even though it's more of an elf thing, we do have a couple of humans that can help us ramp, such as Borderland Ranger, which will fetch a land on ETB, and Ixani's Diviner, which allows us to ramp or surveil and get a +1 counter. Now for drawing cards, we can't ask for better humans than Thorn of the Black Rose and Palace Sentinels, which will make us the Monarch on entry. And if one of our creatures is going to die anyway, we can get extra value out of them using Bequeathal or Bushmeat Poacher. Our humans will also be acting as removal. Dawnbringer Cleric has multiple effects, the most valuable of which is destroying enchantments. Cathar Commando is a 3/1 with flash for 2 mana, which is already really good, but at instant speed we can spend 1 mana and sacrifice it to destroy any artifact or enchantment. But for removing creatures, we have Hooded Assassin and a Lurking Deadeye, both of which can destroy any creature that was already dealt damage this turn. In contrast, we have Pitkeeper, Dutiful Attendant, and Disciple of the Sun, 3 excellent humans for recursion effects. The best use for our creatures, of course, is going to be buffing our other creatures. Angelheart Protector and Midvast Protector are excellent cards that will allow one of our creatures to swing in recklessly. We've got mass buffs with Inspiring Captain, and Village Bellringer will untap all of our creatures at instant speed. But the best, like our commander, will deal with our sub-theme +1 counters. For these, we have literal 1-to-1 effects like Backup Agent and Timberland Guide. Better will be our 1-to-2 creatures like Chaldea Strongarm, and one of our best will be Lieutenants of the Guard, which will either come in with several +1 counters or an army of more humans, depending on our opponents. But the best place for these counters will be Servant of the Scale and Spiteful Squad, so that, just in case they get killed, these +1 counters won't all go to waste, and will actually get transferred to another creature. But how are we going to win? As I've shown, we've got an army of humans with ETB and death effects to attack our opponents with, but how do we make this random collection of humans work? I said at the beginning that our commander having an ETB effect is going to be tricky, but luckily white and black give us plenty of effects to abuse that. The most obvious will be blink effects, where we can use classics like Cloud Shift and Ephemerate. These will also protect our creatures from removal and negate any combats. But what if we wanted to suicide mission our creatures? For that, we can use slingshot effects like Demonic Gifts, which will buff them before combat, allowing our humans to punch above their weight when trading. Even better will be Feign Death, which will return them to the battlefield with a fresh +1 counter on them. And with those creatures returning, we'll be waiting to regain life with Soul's Attendant. And with all our humans dying, we'll be taking advantage of it with Death Greeter, which will gain us life on death. We can also use Rising Populace and Unruly Mob, which will get +1 counters with each creature that dies. We are going to pump these even further with our +1 counter stables, Enoch Bondkin, Dusk Shellcrawler, and Hagra Constrictor, which will give all creatures with +1 counters First Strike, Trample, and Menace. But finally, we'll be discussing our human tribe. Sure, we've got some generic goods tribal stuff, such as Coordinated Barrage and Pax Disdain for removal, and Luminescent Rain for life gain. And with all those death effects, a perfect inclusion is Reigns of the Vine Steed, which will just reattach to another human rather than being lost forever. But with human specific, I was able to find some fun cards, such as Flare of Faith for a quick pump, and Bonds of Faith that can act flexibly as either a buff or a pacify effect. But the real finds were these, Spare from Evil and Cavalry Pegasus. Spare from Evil can be used at instant speed to turn a trade into a one-sided loss from our opponent. Or, better yet, it can allow us to completely swing into that player with an army of goblins. Cavalry Pegasus will allow us to do this repeatedly, giving our whole board some evasion that can easily make the difference between winning and losing. And that's my Armament core deck. I'll admit this first 3-color commander made me work for it, but I believe that between the ETB effects, +1 counters, and human tribal, I was actually able to put together a pretty powerful deck for an underwhelming commander. This deck is going to cost us about $18.50. The deck list is in the description. Please like and subscribe and come back next week when we exercise our third eye with Bant.